Hi, it's Dr. Denise with Microdose U, and continuing with our series and discussion about women's health overall and microdosing psychedelics. And as I've said, while we are talking specifically about women's unique issues in health, specifically physiology, hormonal changes, a lot of what we say is going to apply even sometimes to males. So even though we have a lot of women, of course, watching this series, oftentimes it is applicable to general population and trends. So there are, however, unique factors, and there's so many factors and variables when it comes to life in general, certainly, but using psychedelic medicines for our overall physiological and psychological wellness. So we always talk about how there's trends, and yet everyone is so different. And when you start adding variables, it becomes a little bit of a puzzle to figure out how to dial in and evolve with your path in healing using these psychedelic medicines. So we like to look at some specific unique variables that can apply to women because there's some unique physiology. Men have unique physiology as well, and there's hormonal changes in everyone, including men. We want to look at some of the known factors and some of the changes that can go on for women based on menstrual cycles and perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So that's why we've been doing this series, and I encourage you to go back to the original episode, which now we're on like episode 5 or 6, where I talk overall about some of these factors, and then we've continued the series. And please also continue to, I've been getting great comments, great questions, and that really helps us speak to the issues that are pressing for people, answer the questions. It also uniquely provides us with information. I want to speak a little bit about, I made reference in the last episode about a new study. It hasn't started yet, but it's been approved. It's coming from Switzerland, and they're going to be looking at microdosing LSD during the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle. So this is for menstruating women that are still cycling in that monthly cycle. And the luteal phase is what many of us refer to as the sort of pre-menstrual phase, the like 10 days, give or take, leading up to the menstrual part of the cycle. And the research hasn't started, but they've actually gotten approval, and it will be starting. And they're going to look at different microdose schedules during that particular phase. And then they're going to be recording different indices of how women are doing. So interestingly enough, in the research when it comes to psychedelics and microdosing, macrodosing in general, using psychedelic medicines, the research is really lacking. And it's going to probably take a very long time for the research to show what we are often seeing and have been seeing out. We call it the real world data or field data. What's happening actually that people have been reporting for decades and decades, very long time. So we do like to have research, and the research can kind of be over here, and yet what we're seeing in the real world is the usefulness of these medicines. So it's nice when they line up, and it does help get the conversation out in the mainstream, and it helps with access to these medicines. So I made reference to that LSD study. I wanted to talk just a little bit about it specifically, and why they're looking at LSD as opposed to psilocybin during that, what we call like that PMS time frame. It doesn't mean you're necessarily experiencing PMS symptoms, but that's the time frame we're talking about. So psilocybin and LSD, while similar, there's some profound differences. Psilocybin is more linked to estrogen. So during that phase of the premenstrual time, what happens is estrogen is dropping. So menstrual women are going to experience these cycles monthly. So this is different than what I talk about with perimenopause and menopause. So this is for menstrual age women that are still cycling through that monthly approximate cycle. So when estrogen drops during that premenstrual phase, psilocybin is not going to bind as effectively with the serotonin because of that link between the serotonin, the psilocybin, and the estrogen. So they're looking specifically at, although the estrogen has dropped, the LSD chemical structure is more available and is going to potentially be more helpful during that premenstrual time frame. And here's why. While psilocybin and LSD share a lot of usefulness in the serotonin part of the physiology and the chemistry, LSD has a lot more of an impact with dopamine. And what dopamine is helpful with, it's calming, it's soothing, it helps with focus. And this is why LSD is potentially more useful during that premenstrual time frame. People that will, there's many reports of people using psilocybin during that premenstrual time, and they feel like it's not as helpful and useful, again, because estrogen's lower. It could feel more heavy in the body. The LSD microdosing is showing the opposite. It's showing a lightness, of focus, and some people are actually reporting less fatigue and kind of that brain fog women can report during that time, seems to be helped by the LSD. So this study out of Switzerland is going to specifically look at that. As I said, they have not started the research. It's going to take quite a bit of time for that research to happen and for the reports on the data. And then, of course, interpreting all of that data and what that means. And yet it's helpful that we have that happening. Just as a side note, the research in use of psychedelics, and whether it's macrodosing or microdose, often has happened with males. And the reason for that is not just sort of trying to keep women out of these studies. It's more because there's more factors involved. And researchers know that when females are brought into these studies, they're not getting to have those variables as clear. So if they're measuring, say, the usefulness of LSD with depression or ADHD, and they're using both male and female subjects in their study, and it looks like, oh, it's helping with, say, the female subjects, then they're kind of left with, well, did we look at the phase and what's going on hormonally? Is that more of an impact? So in research, research will talk about the control of the variables. And they're trying to be controlling. It's more trying to really ensure that there aren't what we call confounding variables, that you're getting a false research reading and data that is really about, say, hormones and not about, some other factors that they're looking at. So, but here's that double edge. If we're not including women and females in these studies and then looking at hormonal factors, we're then not able to really provide any direction. So this is why the real world field data, what you all report, is very important. The research is important, and yet our experiences are very important. Dr. Dave and I always talk about that in your microdosing journey, psilocybin, LSD, that your experience, while there are trends and we help you, your experience, your response, because we really are very individual in terms of our response and how our body's going to work with these medicines, your experience is going to be at the top in terms of variables determining how you're going to proceed on your healing path. So if somebody is in that premenstrual phase and they find that microdosing psilocybin is absolutely helping, that's more important than anybody else saying what their experience is, or what the research may show. So, because it is really unlike Western medicine, it's going to be very unique for each one of us. So, we really want to look at what our experience is. And in that vein, it would be, I mean, keep the questions and the comments coming. They so help, as I already said. And yet, what I'd like to ask people to do, whether you're looking at cyclical microdosing and when and timed and dose levels, like during the menstrual part of the cycle, a lot of people use those as their off days for microdosing psilocybin, and or just reducing their dose, and then post that time, follicular and then ovulation. They Those are times that you can increase your dose. So people are looking at doing that during their cycle. Or if you are in perimenopause where things have become very irregular or extreme and you can't make sense of it, or menopause or postmenopause, whatever you're experiencing, it would be very valuable to us to hear about that. So if you could let us know, you can do it anonymously. It's a little bit of a real world data, information that, since so many of you listen and send in comments, this would be great to hear, because that's important data as well. So, if I could talk to 1,000 people and ask them these questions, that would be extremely helpful. So please send in what your experiences are, regardless of what phase of your life cycle you're in, whatever your age is and hormonal status. So let us know what helps. Let us know what you experience, because that would be very useful, as I already said. So, also, please always check the show notes. We have the Patreon group, which has got a constant WhatsApp conversation going on, where you can certainly you could give us a lot of this information. It's very anonymous, and you can have a pretty much 24/7 conversation, ask questions, or give us the information, provide some real data that you're experiencing, your life, your experience, ask questions, and then that'll help us not only guide these episodes and podcasts, but also to really just continue to amass large volumes of information that really help us guide people and understand trends. So look at that, look at the Patreon. As always, you can go to Microdose U and click on the coaching. If you want to specifically try to dial in either the cyclical microdosing for menstruating women, or looking at perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, particularly with the LSD, we have a very nice way of helping people to really get all the resources they need for the LSD microdosing, and really get that guidance. So we always say LSD, it's like the tiniest speck of a dose. So we really like to help people know exactly what they're doing. You can't really just say, oh, I'll do a little or a lot more. And where you get these medicines is very important as well. So we can help you, guide you with all of that. So we will continue the series. So please keep sending your comments and questions, and we will see you real soon. Thanks very much.